this service of reading Bhagavad Gita. So now, hopefully, everyone has Bhagavad Gita. And the way we are going to do is, I will invite each one of you, request each one of you to read one on paragraph or sometime few lines, and then we discuss, and then we move on next. Okay, we are not going to rush. You can ask questions in between, no problem. You don't have to hold your thoughts. Okay. But best is when you finish speaking, you mute yourself, because Zoom, it takes voice from multiple places, then you will not get clear voice from anyone's. So best you speak, then mute. If you have any questions, raise your hand. And if you want to go first in speaking, just raise your hand and I'll go, or you use the chat, whatever you like. Questions you can use for the chat. You want to read next, you raise your hand, I'll call your name and then we read. Okay. So go to the back of the book. We will start from here, back of the book. And okay, so then you will see there is a Prabhupada picture. And then below that, it's written. If you don't have this book, I shared the PDF. So you can go end of the PDF and it will have the same thing. Okay. So who is going to first read this? The sentence starting with the Bhagavad Gita is universally renowned. Any volunteer for that? Okay, so Mahesh.
Mine is, I think it's a different, means it is from ISKCON Bhagavad Gita only, but it is like a masterpiece of spiritual literature like that written.
No, you need this one. So you can use the PDF I shared in the chat. Okay, we need this one, as it is Bhagavad Gita. You can show your cover if I can see in the camera. Oh, yeah, that's it. So if you go to the back, Oh, it's written, right? Or you don't see that, right? What's written there? Is for Prabhupada? What do you see in the back? It's not the same, what I was reading. You are muted, Ritu. You're muted. Can't hear.
In this book, it is written like a masterpiece of spiritual literature. Bhagavad Gita is a separate song in the form of battlefield dialogue between the Lord Shri Krishna and Arjuna, his friend and disciple. Krishna.
Okay, so I think you have some different copy, which I don't know why they don't have in the back. But for today, you can use this PDF, and I'll share the screen for people who may not have it. Okay, so that we can read together. Give me a second. I'm gonna just do that. So, no problem. We'll do it. So I'm going to just share my PDF screen, and then we can do that. Okay. So I'm going to go at the end.
Prabhuji, I have one more. I think this is the old, many years ago I took from ISKCON. So another one, whatever you are telling, that is written.
Okay, good. So who is going to read first?
Prabhuji, I can go ahead.
Okay, then I'll stop share. Let's read together then. Okay. You can go ahead and read from this Bhagavad Gita.
To the back or correct, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. So,
yes.
The Bhagavad Gita is universally renowned as the jewel of India's spiritual wisdom, spoken by Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to his intimate devotee Arjuna. The Gita's 700 concise verse provide a definitive guide to the science of self-realization. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Yes, I think you can pause, Mahesh, here.
Sure, please.
So, if we see here, the first line says, universally renowned, right? So we know that Bhagavad Gita is not new to the world. It's not just India, but people from all over the world took inspiration, learning, and it goes back to hundreds and thousands of years back, even back to the Greek time, Romans, right? And it's called Jewel of India's spiritual wisdom. So India have a lot of traditions, religions, right? We know, right? There are different varieties and offering for different type of people, right? So it's called Jewel of India's spiritual wisdom, which means this is topmost theistic science, topmost logical and universally accepted. Only book, no conflict. Everybody reads all over the world, whether it's Christian, Muslim, Jewish, anyone. Everyone is interested in this book, right? So this is very powerful book that sets the tone, right? And next line says, why? Because it is spoken by Lord Sri Krishna. So we have different books, right? Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, right? So many things are there. The only book which is directly spoken by Krishna is Bhagavad Gita. Other things were documented by smriti, means by remembering, or you note it down. So later, initially people, as we know in Vedic culture, they used to remember things by hearing. In Gurukul, teacher speaks and the student remembers. But now our memory is not that sharp, and we have so many facility to store information for future. So things are now more in documentation, and that's where Vyasadeva came and documented the whole Vedic history in Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas, and Vedangas, and Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, everything got documented. Okay, so we'll get more deeper there soon. But the next line says, he spoke with two intimate devotee Arjuna. So it's very important that Bhagavad Gita can only be spoken or discussed with people like Arjuna, like all of you here. If somebody doesn't have faith in Krishna, they cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, right? It's like if I want to learn chemistry, I should know little basics. And if I don't know anything, then at least I should have faith in my chemistry teacher. If I don't have faith in chemistry teacher, but at least I have faith in chemistry books, right? Previous teachers who documented the book, previous scientists who did experiment, researched and documented everything in that book, which we take as a fact, right? So there is some faith required in anything we do in life. That is a like basic thing. It goes down to that, right? So here, Arjuna, why Arjuna? Because he was the most confidential person and friend of Krishna. And last sentence says, last word, if you see, definitive guide to the science of self-realization. So this is very important. Self-realization is very common term used in spirituality. So I want to ask question from all of you. What do you, when you think of word self-realization, what comes in your mind? If you would like to just share, a few lines and your idea of self-realization, what does it mean to you? Any
Hare
first
Krishna,
person? Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Amish.
Sir, Prabhuji, self-realization
Yes.
means I feel it is the purpose of life, the way why we are born.
Okay. So Samya is saying it's purpose of life, why we are born, that's self-realization. Any other person? Go ahead and just raise your hand or unmute to speak. You can do that.
It is how I make things better in my life, how I can get the best out of whatever I have.
Okay. So Pratiksha saying getting best of out of it. Anyone else?
Understanding the truth about the divine.
So Rajiv Lochin Prabhu is saying that understanding truth about the divine. Okay. Anyone else want to add?
Yeah, how to live. how to
Yeah,
live
yeah.
our life,
Yes.
how to lead our life.
Okay. So how to live or lead our life? That's self-realization. Okay. Anyone else?
So,
Hare Krishna,
yes,
So
I
Prabhuji.
will.
self-realize,
Prabhuji, self-realization is that the source of our from where we came and what is the source.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
that is also called as self.
So Atul is saying that our source where we came is self. To know that is self-realization. Swati, ji, you want
self-realization
to
in,
go?
yeah,
Yes.
self-realization in my understanding is to understand that we are Atma and we are not body. And all this is like
Okay.
around us is Maya. And we have to go
Okay.
beyond that.
Yes,
Okay. So
Hare
that's
Krishna, my point.
yes.
I'm Gita
Yes.
with Swati Mataji. So yes, so I'm this is the soul, not the body. So would like to know about the purpose of this life and where to make steps towards the going back to the God, back to home, back to the Godhead. So that is in my point of view. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Mahesh is revised and he said that. Anybody else want to add or say something which other people didn't say? You have something unique? Please say.
Prabhuji, like for me, self-realization is recognition, understanding, and moreover, to self and understanding ourselves in the way of like uh, we have to understand everything is the Prabhu, Narayan only.
Okay.
So that is a
Thank you,
self-realization.
Tusalaji. Thank you. Okay, so I think we got a lot of definitions, and all of you, some or other way, are correct, right? Is so if you see this word self means self, right? And realization means to know. It's just breaking the word self-realization, right? Then question come, what is self, right? The self for different philosophies in Sanatan Dharma or in different religions in the world, self is differently explained in different manners, right? In Bhagavad Gita, the self means is the soul. Okay. And when next question comes, how do we realize the soul? What exactly it is? What is the nature of the soul? Where the soul came from? What is the function of soul? And then what is the relation of soul with the body? How does it look? How does it act, right? So all these questions comes up. So that's why self-realization word in relations in Bhagavad Gita is very important. So we'll go to the next paragraph, and who is next person want to read? Swati ji, you wanted to read?
Yes, I can read. So is it the end of the book? That's all we have to read, the end of the cover page?
Yes,
Or
it
where
says
should I?
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the foremost Vedic scholar. That's the paragraph.
Yeah, so the cover page, right? Can you share your
Back cover,
screen,
yeah.
Prabhuji? Yeah.
My PDF doesn't have that back cover. I'm not able to find. So I can
Yeah,
share
exactly. Yes, please. That would be
you looking
helpful
into
if you can
PDF.
share.
You're not having
Yes,
hard copy.
yes. I am having the hard copy. It's not with me. I'm outside today. So
Okay.
can you just share the screen, please? Thank you.
I don't think I can share the screen, but let me do this. I'm gonna show. I don't think it's. Let me spotlight that, and then let me try that. But I don't think if you read it, I'm really not
No,
sure.
I cannot read it. Let other person read it. I will read another
Yeah,
one
let other
that
people
is in
read
the
it. Next
PDF.
time you can
Yeah,
read.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no
Thank you.
worries.
No problem. Okay, who is next? You wanted to read? Ritu?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. His divine
You
grace.
read already, right?
No, I didn't.
No, Mahesh read. Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yes, sorry.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. His
Yes,
divine
please.
grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the world's foremost Vedic scholar and teacher, represents an unbroken chain of fully self-realized spiritual masters, beginning with Lord Krishna himself. Thus, unlike
Okay.
other editions, of the Gita, his edition conveys Lord Krishna's profound message as it is, without the slightest taint of adulteration or personally motivated change.
Yes, thank you. So now very important thing came up, right? You may question why I should read this version of Bhagavad Gita, right? You will be amazed to know hundreds of version of translations of Bhagavad Gita in multiple world languages, right? Going back to hundreds of years old, people have been interested in these Bhagavad Gita's wisdom from time immemorial almost, right? So then question comes why I should read this one, right? And what is special about it? And I also, when I came first time in contact with Bhagavad Gita, I read from Gita Press because I lived in Ayodhya area. I didn't tell about me, so a lot of people would be new. Okay, let me take 2 minutes. So I come from northern India near Ayodhya. It's called district Basti. It's very close to Nepal border. Lumbini, 40 around 60 miles from there. So I did my bachelor's in geology, chemistry, like most of, old timer. No BTech was there almost, or it was coming up that time. So BSc in that, and then I did that was from Ayodhya. I lived in Ayodhya. And then I did my master's in biochemistry from a university there, Ayodhya, again, Awadh University. And with the help of my teachers and everyone, I topped my university. I got my CSR fellowship, gold medal, and that I came from very poor family background. My father, mother is farmer. We had a cows, and I used to take care in my childhood till the age of 15. Then I left my house for my education. I went in high school. So so it was back in 2004. So that's the time. And then I did my bachelor's, master's, got my fellowship to pursue my PhD anywhere in India. And I joined ACTRA, Tata Memorial Center, Mumbai, as a PhD student, studying and understanding cancer genomes, cancer patients, tumor sample you take and analyze the genomes and understand what went wrong, why they had cancer because of genomic changes. And I lived there for 6 years, finished my PhD. That's where I got contact with ISKCON, because front door was ISKCON Center next to the Tata Hospital in Navi Mumbai, Kargar. And I had interest in spirituality because I come from that background. My grandmother, parents, everyone, goes to Ayodhya is like 1 hour drive. So, and I lived in Ayodhya, that further enhanced my faith. And then I got in Gita Press contact in end of my master's. I read once, got very much interested, but I never read later. So I came Mumbai fast forward, and then I got in touch with ISKCON, and I really wanted to spend some time every week to go there. But I was very skeptical coming from scientific background that is this all brainwashing? Is this all just, some kind of society you make and then make people, work for free and you get a free labor and people enjoy, right? So and have all those questions in brain, right? And I was not ready to submit or surrender because I'm very skeptical, very critical of everything what is going on. So I started understanding, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, asking questions from devotees who were scientists or who gave their life and how they're working. Fast forward, I, finished my PhD, move out, still not a full-time interested. I used to chant few rounds and of course, attend festival, have friendship with devotees, but not like fully committing. So then I've been in Bangalore, joined industry, worked there, and then Bangalore doesn't have a lot of, where I lived, the temple was far, and my interest was less, but slowly I started realizing that I should give a serious attempt to read Bhagavad Gita seriously. Self-study and start chanting more rounds to see whether it works, right? To relieve my stress and everything, right? We are, consumer society. We think everything from what is there for me, right? So, and then I that's where my interest got more deepened in Bangalore. And then I moved at Washington University School of Medicine for my postdoc back in 2019. And that's, I lived in Temple 1 year because COVID hit. I wasn't new. Temple was only center where you get prasadam. You can work from home and nice people around, right? So I lived in Temple 1 year, and that's my faith further went up because I was personally living in the temple 1 year, serving the deities, helping people, doing a lot of services and reading, right? Association as well. Very powerful association. And then I got married, moved out. When you kicked out of temple, you can't stay in temple if you're married. So, and then my wife was already a devotee of I'm connected with ISKCON and Krishna of the consciousness movement. And so that was good. He helped me a lot to further move up. And then I joined here now in San Diego as a scientist in Illumina, working in developing liquid biopsy assays and all. So that's my journey. And I got initiated last year. My Guru Maharaj said, you should teach this message to the scientific community in scientific context. So that's why I'm here, spending my most of free time trying to do virtual preaching, working, interacting, doing all that. So that's me. Sorry for long, but I thought it is the first time we are meeting and it's good to set the context. And one of the reason, my personal motivation, I feel all of us, come from at least a STEM field, a STEM background or a STEM related background, right? But and we believe in Krishna, we believe in Sanatana Dharma, but when it comes to speaking out, going out to speak and talk about it, even I used to have a peer pressure, what people will think, what people will think about me as a scientist or as an IT person when I'm talking about spirituality, Bhagavad Gita and everything, right? They may judge me. I may get isolated. I may get, badly treated. People may just say bad word or judge me unnecessarily. They will not see my skill set. All this I struggled throughout this journey. But what I realize now, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares a damn what you are doing. They just moment think and then go away. But we should not give up based on peer pressure. We will move on and do what we want to do, what our soul, our desire, right? We should not just live for others. So that's my motivation. I don't fear. Now my fear almost gone. I don't care. Even at workplace, I go like this. Nobody objects. Nobody. And of course, you feel little isolated and judged, but your knowledge and skill set is taken. Nobody can question that. Your education, your skill, right? In material field, in your field, so that's why if you do that, you feel you get immense faith in this. Otherwise, unless we test, we cannot experience. So that I wanted to add that, and that's why I dedicate a lot of time for this. Okay. We can take questions at the end about me. Let's move on to Bhagavad Gita, the section we were touching. Why this Bhagavad Gita and why Prabhupada, why everything, why, right? So I was saying that there are so many translations and you can read so many books. Why this? That if you see the word Ritu read, Srila Prabhupada, he comes and represents an unbroken chain of fully self-realized spiritual master. Very important, right? Suppose if you go to a scientist and if you ask them, who is your teacher, right? And if he says, my teacher is blah, 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 right? Then you start having faith. But if a scientist says, I don't have a teacher, I'm self-made, I have not taken help from anyone, so then you doubt something fishy, right? Really don't know this guy, right? What or girl, right? Gonna do it, right? If you go to a doctor and you want to get some medicine, you want to know where the person studies, from where the person got degree, what is a practice, was his teacher, right? You want to know the whole section. You cannot just blindly believe. Somebody says, I am self-made doctor. Can you believe them? Right? You won't believe, right? You'll say, man, I don't know what this person is going to do with me, right? Because you want to know authority and designation, the degree, the whole learning from where that person learned from, right? Similarly, when it comes to spirituality, unfortunately, a lot of us, we don't question the person. That somebody is trying to preach spiritual messages, but then we should question, what is the source of knowledge? Who is your guru? Especially who is your guru? Because then you represent that whole section, right? Like if I'm graduated from MIT, from a Nobel Prize lab, winner lab, right? I have that lineage, right? So when I go out, even if he's speaking nonsense, people start believing because I come from that lineage, right? This has happened in political history everywhere, right? This lineage is very important, and source of lineage, the knowledge or the skill in any ways. Right? So Srila Prabhupada represent fully unbroken chain. Why unbroken? Because if it is not unbroken, then people may adulterate it. People may, because in Vedic knowledge, I said, first it was just spoken by mouth, hear by the ear, and you remember it. But later Vyasadeva documented it, and then he made it more fixed. You can't change much. You cannot change Sanskrit. You can change translations. Sanskrit is fixed, right? So that's what Prabhupada represent. And if you go to your book, page number 30, before the chapter, start of chapter 1, in your books, it may be different page. So if you go to just before start of chapter 1, in my book, it is page number 30. And I can share the screen if you don't have, because I think I have this one for sure. Okay. Do you see this one fully? Okay, let's do that. Do you see this, right? The screen I shared?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay. So this is besides unbroken chain, and let's one person read 5 name, and then we can read other 5 next person. Okay. So who gonna read first 5 numbers, names?
Yeah, I'll do that, Pratiksha.
Yes, please.
Krishna.
And you can raise your hand, and I'll call other people's names so that we don't disturb.
Okay. Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Krishna, Brahma,
Yes.
Narada, Vyasa, Madhva.
Madhva. Okay, so give me a pause and I'll explain you a little, and then we go to next person. Okay. So Krishna is the original, right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Evam parampara praptam evam rajasho vidu, right? Krishna is the source of knowledge. And then in Bhagavatam, Krishna says that I implanted in the first chapter, first verse of Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Krishna, it's explained that the knowledge was implanted in the heart of Brahma, right? You may question, what was that technology, right? That directly all knowledge was revealed in Brahma, but spiritual science is like that knowledge comes from heart, not from brain. Brain is like your CPU, but the decision making is comes from heart. And we know that, I don't feel my heart and all that saying. So Krishna directly implanted in Brahma's heart. Brahma gave it to Narada, his disciple, Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave it to Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva gave it to Madhava, right? So this comes unbroken chain of disciplic succession. So Vyasadeva may have multiple, you may question it, right? No, Vyasadeva gave to Suta Goswami, or you can question in different ways, right? But Vyasadeva may have multiple disciples, and one of them wanted to take it up and give to the next generation. So that was Madhava. Similarly, you will find many names and many questions around. So let's read next 5. It's good to read and to know how this knowledge is coming, where is the source, right? So who is the next one to go? Deepali, you want to read?
It's Anirudh. Sir?
Yes, please. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Read.
Please read from sixth number.
Okay. Padmanabha.
Yes.
Padmanabha. Narhari.
Yes.
Madhva.
Yes.
Akshobhya. Jayatirth.
Yes. Yes. So thank you. So this now we reached to 10, and next one, Mahesh, do you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, Jnana Sindhu, Dayanidhi, Vidyanidhi, Rajendra, Jai Dharma.
Yes, thank you. So next one is Soumya. Soumya ji, you want to read?
Hare Krishna. Purushottama Prabhupada, Brahmanya Tirtha, Vyasa Tirtha, Lakshmipati, Madhavendra Puri.
Yes, thank you. Ravi, Dr. Ravi, you want to read?
Ishwarapuri, Lord Chaitanya, Rupa,
Yes.
Suvarna, Sanatana, Raghunatha Jiva, Krishna Dasa.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next one, Ritu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Narottama, Vishwanatha, Baladeva, Jagannatha, Bhakti Vinoda, Gauri Kishora.
Yes, so remember this Baladeva, we are going to discuss some. So everyone should remember this word Baladeva. The last two, who wants to read? Okay, Jenny ji, you want to read? Okay, so I'll read. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So this is our succession. Now you remember, you know all 32. And then after Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Swami Prabhupada, there are more of his disciple, and who would be leader in future is to be known. But so far, there are so many gurus in ISKCON. That's why, because Srila Prabhupada has so many disciples, and now they have taken responsibility to initiate new disciples and go ahead. There are also sections where part of ISKCON is Akshapatra. They continue with Prabhupada. They did not went ahead and did it. Go ahead with the next step. But so I come in connection. So my guru is His Holiness Gopala Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and he is a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So that's a continuation, right? We do it and go ahead and present. So what I'm going to talk with you, share with you, is none of my own knowledge. Whatever I learned from Bhagavad Gita and other Vaishnavas, I will be sharing. I will try to present as it is, whatever it is, what I know. Okay, so now let's go to the first page of Bhagavad Gita now. Open this this one, the first page. You have comments from different people, great personalities. Everyone can see it, right? In your book. And try to see in PDF as well, so that we can read together. Okay. So let's read from there. Everybody sees this critics praise Bhagavad Gita as it is. Do you see that? Just to confirm. First page.
No, I
First
mean,
page, just.
can you share the screen with that PDF? Because I've newly joined, I couldn't download the PDF for the first class. I'll keep it there for the second class. So if the screen can be shared.
Yeah, I'm just reading, but in my PDF, I don't see this page. That's why I'm asking everyone. Sorry. It's better you can get a hard copy. That will help you long term.
Yeah, I would be doing
An
it by
order from
next class.
Amazon. Yeah, you can just get that, or nearby temple. But who's ever had it, let's start reading. And so anyone volunteer to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
First one.
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yes. So which with over 10 million you want to read, right? That
First,
section, paragraph.
Critics praise Bhagavad Gita as it is. This one, no?
Yes.
Hello, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm just starting. With over 10 million hardbound copies in print in over 50 languages, Bhagavad Gita as it is, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, is the best-selling and most authoritative edition of this classic of world literature. Here are some comments on Bhagavad Gita as it is, from some of the world's leading scholars. Should I continue?
Yes, you can read first one and then we go to second question.
Okay, there is little question that this edition is one of the best books available on the Gita and on devotion. Prabhupada's translation is an ideal blend of literal accuracy and religious insight. It is given by Dr. Thomas J. Hopkins, Chairman, Department of Religious Studies, Franklin and Marshall College. The Gita can be seen as the main literary.
No, thank you. I think, sorry.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
interrupt.
no, it's okay. Fine.
And next person can read next one. So these are the very important. So when Prabhupada came to, just want to add a few lines for everyone's information. When Srila Prabhupada came to New York or in the United States in age of, close to 70, nobody wants to go there. So at that age anywhere. So he came, he wrote this book, and then he distributed those books to all almost, big institutions like MIT, Massachusetts, everywhere, all big institutions, Stanford, Harvard, and all these professors you will read. These are like chairman of Department of Religious Studies. They talk about, they have read almost everything out there in English, and they were commenting on these. So next one we can read. Who wants to go read? Gita. Okay, let's give opportunity to Giram Ramdat, because he did not do it. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The Gita can be seen as the main literary support for the great religious civilization of India, the oldest surviving culture in the world. The present translation and commentary is another manifestation of the permanent living importance of the Gita. Swami Bhakti Vedanta brings to the West a salutary reminder that our highly activistic and one-sided culture is faced with a crisis that may end in self-destruction because it lacks the inner depth of an authentic metaphysical consciousness. Without such depth, our moral and political protestation are just so viburned. Thomas Merton, late Catholic theologian, monk, author.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. So if you see that, what they are saying, they knew, like this is Catholic, the Christian person, that it's not just the United States, but all over the world. The people have advanced so much, like we have advanced in every field of life, but we have become poor internally. People are committing suicide. People are fighting with little things. Wars are happening with little lands, right? So we have become internally weak, but externally powerful. And that puts here, if you see, crisis that may end in self-destruction, right? The people are now committing suicide, living alone, solitary, right? And no hope almost, right? Paying the bill throughout the life, took EMI and now pay for house and car and education loan, and then whole life it just goes on, earning, paying, right? Where is the sense of understanding about morality, political? It's a whole chaotic situation at that times, 50 years back. And now it's worse. We know it. So Thomas Merton is saying that we need this. And this is welcoming that he brought it. Swami Bhaktivedanta brings it here as it is and gives it. Let's go to the next one. Anyone? Soumya ji, you want to read?
Yes, someone else.
Okay, after Soumya and Dylan ji, you can read, okay?
So they may proceed.
Please. Yes.
No work in all Indian literature is more quoted because none is better loved in the West than Bhagavad Gita. Translation of such a work demands not only knowledge of Sanskrit, but an inward sympathy with the theme and a verbal artistry. For the poem is a symphony in which God is seen in all things. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is of course profoundly sympathetic to the theme. He brings to it, moreover, a special interpretive insight, a powerful and persuasive presentation in the Bhakti devotional tradition. The Swami does a real service for students by investing the beloved Indian epic with fresh meaning. Whatever our outlook may be, we should all be grateful for the labor that has led to this illuminating work. Dr. J.S. McGregor, Emeritus Distinguished Professor of Philosophy, University of Southern California.
Thank you, Soumyaji. So let's look into this, what just Soumyaji read. So to do anything in life, or suppose if I want to comment on physics, right? Okay. So then if I want to write a book on physics, what are the things I should know? Anybody wants to share? Like suppose if I have to write a book, then what qualification I should have to be able to do that? It's a common sense. Let's talk about it. Okay. Let's have a little chat. Otherwise it get boring for other people. So please go ahead and share. Yeah. Nobody wants to say it? Okay.
To write
So,
a book
okay.
in
So then,
Hare
physics, I
Krishna
guess
Prabhuji.
you.
Sorry. I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I think every time I'm interrupting with somebody else. So sorry for that.
No worries, go ahead.
No. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
So I
Dylan.
feel if somebody is writing a book, number one, the person should have the knowledge about the subject. He should have at least done some kind of degree in that. If not a degree, some kind of self-education is very important. And the standing in public, where the person stands. Any person coming up in the society saying something doesn't really make any sense unless and until the person has some kind of authority in the eyes of public at large. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Dylan. Yes, you almost summarized. Anyone else want to add anything?
Prabhu, I think the person should have a basic understanding and knowledge of the subject, like in your case is the physics, and then he should have a deep insight of the subject also, and he should be, well aware of the present, past, and whatever the literature is available, he should be well aware of the literature, the kind of work people have already done in the area. He should be aware of that and should be, very familiar
Yes.
with those things. That's all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jyotiji. Any last comment anybody wants to add before we go?
Yeah, the person should have qualification in that, knowledge in that, and nowadays it's like a PhD, PDF they have to do. Yeah, then
Yes,
only
thank
people
you.
will consider.
I would
Yes.
also
So,
like to add they should,
yes.
Prabhuji, I would like to add that they should also have a purpose to write the book. Like what is the purpose? Like for example, Prabhupada had a very clear purpose that he wanted to, relay the message to Western world. And that is what his guru told him to do. And that's why he came to this country, even if at the age of very late, like, in 70s. So I think for writing a book, the writer should have a clear audience and a message.
Thank you. Yes. So in summary, clear audience and message, education and authority, credibility, right? And knowledge, of course, everything, right? Degree, knowledge, everything. But one thing I think we're missing, which is human touch, is called, here if you read, inward sympathy with the theme. I may have everything, but I don't love physics. I'm just doing mechanically, right? I learned, I got degree, but I have no connection with that subject, like internally, like I don't feel about it. I'm just doing it just for sake of doing it. It's like a lawyer fighting a case based on rule books. When you won the case, you become a big lawyer, but you don't have really purpose, just like Swati was saying, Swatiji was saying, like the sympathy, the feeling, if you're a scientist, you know that people who work on certain theme, they just cannot see beyond that. They just really have a really, you can say sometimes blind faith about those things. And later they proven wrong, right? But here we are not talking about blind faith, we are talking about logical. So Prabhupada generally says that you may have the ocean, but it's like the ocean without philosophy is a sentiment. The sentimental things don't stay longer, right? Because I may have sentiment today, but tomorrow my sentiment change, right? Because I don't have any philosophy behind it. But if you have a philosophy with sentiment, which means you have a logic, you have information, then your faith will stay longer. And that's what happened to many religion, traditions, books. Nobody reads because the author did not live the book. First, you should live the book. You're putting a message, but you don't believe in it. You don't believe in Krishna, but you're writing book on Krishna. It's a hypocrisy, right? What is that, right? So a lot of people have done it. That's why those books nobody reads nowadays. But this book, you'll be surprised to know now every year they are selling or distributing almost 30 million copies worldwide in 120 languages of the world and 30 languages of India. Okay. So why? Because it's written here, this professor, Dr. Gede McGregor is saying, because he knows Sanskrit very hard. Sanskrit is now going to be AI language because Sanskrit is highly contextual, highly complex, and it can convey huge information in little words, right? Like Vedanta Sutras, like 2 words, Athato Brahma Jigyasha, and it's like summary of whole Vedanta philosophy, right? So Sanskrit, he knew Sanskrit, he knew English, he had sympathy training, he has his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was world renowned in English language. If you read his Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur book, you have to take dictionary to read his writings because it's so highly advanced English words. We may not use those words. And then verbal artistry, to be able to present to someone dull like me or fools like people who have no idea about this philosophy, especially the Western world, did not have any idea about Hinduism, Krishna. They knew about yoga and meditation, but not beyond that. How are you going to present that? It's not easy, right? It's like teaching Hindi to someone who knows Hebrew, right? No idea what exactly you're talking about, right? Very difficult. And that's what Srila Prabhupada did here, right? So it's not easy. If you read about, you can take homework and for next week, read a little bit about Prabhupada if you have time, okay? So we are almost going into, we can read second page quickly, and then we will go to next section. I start with Bhagavad Gita, and I have little knowledge about Baladev Vidya Bhushan, I promised you. So who's gonna read next one? If you have the second page, do you have, right? No one? Ritu? Okay.
It's in this beautiful translation, Prabhuji.
Yes, okay. Dylan is reading. Yeah, yes, please go ahead.
All right. So in this beautiful translation, Srila Prabhupada has caught the deep devotional spirit of the Gita and has supplied the text with an elaborate commentary in the truly authentic tradition of Shri Krishna Chaitanya, one of the India's most important and influential saints.
Thank you. So he is Dr. J. Stillen Jewett, Emeritus Professor, History of Religion, graduate. I'm just skipping. Director of Library, Graduate Theological Union, Berkeley. Okay. The next one, who wants to read? We have 3 more, so you can raise 3 people. Ritu, you want to read next, and then we go to next.
Yes,
if no one, then
Prabhuji,
I have to read anyways.
I will read, Prabhuji. If truth is what walks, as pious and pragmatists insist, there must be a kind of truth in the Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Since those who follow its teachings display a joyous serenity usually missing in the bleak and strident leaps of contemporary people. By Dr. Elvin H. Powell, Professor of Sociology, State University of New York.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else wants to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Whether the reader be an adept of Indian spirituality or not, a reading of Bhagavad Gita as it is will be extremely profitable, for it will allow him to understand the Gita as still today the majority of Hindus do. For many, this will be the first contact with the true India, the ancient India, the eternal India. Dr. Francois Chenik, Doctor of Religious Sciences, Institute of Political Studies, Paris.
Okay, thank you. So last one, who wants to read? Okay, I think at the time, Giram Ramdat ji, want to read?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare
Bhagavad
Krishna.
as it is a deeply felt, powerfully conceived, and beautifully explained work. I have never seen any other work on the Gita with such an important voice and style. It is a work of undoubted integrity. It will occupy a significant place in the intellectual and ethical life of modern man for a long time to come. Dr. S. Shukla, Assistant Professor of Linguistics at the Georgetown University. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So
Hare
if you go to the next page, you will see this, Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita as it is because it is, now we have been just reading, so I'm not going to explain. Because it is comes from disciplic succession, it is presented unadulterated, no contamination of personal ideas, which earlier authors did. So Srila Prabhupada gives us as it is, no personal motivation, Krishna as a center, because Krishna speaks it. So we should not remove Krishna out of the scene and then explain my philosophy as per Bhagavad Gita, right? That's not the point. So if you go to the next page on there, let me see if my book has it so I can share for I really know to do justice. Okay, so you should have this next page where it is lists all the Srila Prabhupada books. So that you can see. So you'll see list of all Srila Prabhupada books, and then where it is getting printed, and then you will see addresses, right? So then it says all the addresses here, next page, in worldwide, phone number, email ID, addresses, and different languages until that time. But the edition I have is 2014 edition. Now you have 2022 edition printed already. Now, if you go to dedication, right, the book is dedicated to someone. Every book, even if we write our thesis or small dissertation, we dedicate to someone, right? So Srila Prabhupada dedicated to this person. Anybody wants to read this? Page number, I don't see page number, but you can see this. It says to Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. Anybody wants to read?
Yes, Prabhu, to Srila Baldeva Vidyabhushan, who presented so nicely the Govind Bhashya commentary on Vedanta philosophy. So he's dedicated
Yes.
this book to him only.
Thank you. So then question comes, who is Baladev Vidyabhushan? Why Baladev Vidyabhushan? Srila Prabhupada may have devoted this to his spiritual master, right? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. He may have dedicated to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may have dedicated to so many people back in disciplic succession. But why did he dedicate to Baladev Vidyabhushan? And because he was not his spiritual master, he was not even contemporary, he was not a friend, he was not father, he was not nothing, no relations in direct what we see in this world, right? But he dedicated to him. So how many of you want to learn about that? You want to know why and who is Baladev Vidyabhushan, what is your history, and why it's very important? Okay, I take as yes. So let's Google Baladev Vidyabhushan. Okay, so we'll read some paragraph from his life, and especially an story which will astonish you. right? And you'll get really surprised with what happened in that time. History you're going to back to 17th century. Okay, 16th, 17th century. Just trying to open my internet browser is slow. Okay, until that's opening, let it be. So Baladev Vidyabhushan I can read for you. It should be in my mobile. I was reading today morning for my reminder. Okay, I think it opened. Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so let's read. I will read few and then I'll give it to you, all of you. You can just hear for now. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan was born in early part of 18th century, 1720 to 90, in a village near Remuna, Balasore district of Odisha. Even though he was the son of Vaishya, farmer, in his youth he received a very thorough education in Sanskrit, rhetoric, logic, and Vaishnava scripture. He accepted sannyas into Madhava Sampradaya at very young age, and he stayed at Jagannath Puri. He became a renowned scholar and traveled around India to all holy places. During his travel, Baladev came to Puri in Odisha, Utkala, and met with one disciple of famous Rasikananda Prabhu of the name of Sri Radha Damodar Deva Goswami. It was to the surprise of everyone that Baladev was converted to Gaudiya Vaishnavism by Radha Damodar Deva Goswami, who further explained the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in accordance with the tenets of Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, then initiated him as his former disciple. Under his direction, he studied Jiva Goswami's Satsandarbha, quickly became prominent in intellectual circles. But that's like very brief about him. Let's read about the story. Okay. So let's read here. There is an interesting story which shows that the surrendered mood of Baladev and his sincere desire to please his spiritual master. Once when Vishwanath Chakravarti was too old to travel, he sent Baladev to a conference to represent Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So at that time also there used to be spiritual conferences. Now you don't see it, right? But like we have conferences, there used to be conference on logic, critics, debate, all that is now gone. It's all politics. But at that time, scholars used to go to different religious circles and debate, discuss, and see, right? And present things, right? So Baladev was required to prove the validity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism to the rest of Vaishnava community. Why? Because Gaudiya Vaishnavism came from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not write a book, or any documentation was not there much besides Chaitanya Charitamrita. So people were questioning whether this Gaudiya Vaishnavism is valid or it is a cult. Just like in US when Prabhupada came, ISKCON was considered as a cult. And then there was a court case, if you read. And then they won the case in Supreme Court of United States, saying it is a bona fide religion. So same thing happened with Gaudiya Vaishnavism back in 17th century. When Baladev Vidyabhushan went, right? So what was Baladev was required to prove the validity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism to the rest of Vaishnava community from a scriptural point of view, and thus became duly authorized to speak on the matter pertaining to ritual, puja, and Vaishnava religion. Though he was preaching profusely, no one was prepared to accept his statement according to Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, although sufficient evidence was there. So whole Chaitanya Charitamrita was there, Bhagavatam was there, but nobody was listening. They was, no, this is your own thing, right? So the reason other would not accept his statement because there was no established commentary of Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra to support Gaudiya Vaishnavism at that time. So at that time, and now also, you need to show that what did you do? You cannot just take someone else and just say, okay, this is what it is, right? So if you are starting a new thing, new religion, new line of disciplic succession, or you're going to establish temple and ritual, initiate disciple, then you should prove it, right? That was your question. So you should have a Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. So some were saying that every other sampradaya, the founding or reforming acharyas, had made some form of commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So the question was, like Sankaracharya, Ramanujanacharya, Madhavacharya, Vallabha, etc., they have their own commentary on Vedanta Sutra, right? Vedanta Sutra is one, but everybody has their own commentary. But the Gaudiya Vaishnavism didn't had one. Even though Lord Chaitanya explained Vedanta Sutra, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, touching the main subject matter, nothing was written. So that was a crisis. Who wants to read next paragraph? Next two paragraph, and then we go next to. Help me.
Yeah. Someone else. Please continue.
We will finish. Okay, just I think the comment came from finishing it. Yes, so we are going to finish once we finish this story, and then we will start next week with further in going directly from chapter by chapter. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you. Yes, please read.
The King Sadachari Raja was initiated within the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Thus, the quietly sent word to Vrindavan informing the devotee three of what had happened. At the same time, the king was obliged to remove Radha Rani temporarily from the deity room as well as to suspend the Bengali Gaudiya Vaishnav Puja from the patricking in the deity workshop. So, can you?
Yes. Can you read the first before that one paragraph? I think we missed that. Thank you.
You mean some of the members?
Some members. Yes,
Okay.
Yes, please. That's
Some
very
members
important.
of the Shri Samprada, the Ramanandas, begin to raise this argument in the court of the king at Jaipur. They complained that the Gaudiya Vaishnava had no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. They were not qualified to worship the deity, and therefore all the worship should be turned over to the Shri Sampradaya. They also objected to worship of the Srimati Radharani along with the Shri Govinda and Shri Gopinath as not being authorized anywhere in the Shastras. The king,
Thank
Sadachari
you.
Raja, was
Thank you,
initiated.
Rajiji.
Yeah,
You read already that one. So
so
is
it
that
will be
okay?
continued, Prabhu. It will give a flow.
Yeah, you can
The
read.
king
Okay,
Sadachari
you can
Raja was
read.
initiated within the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Thus, he quietly sent word to the Vrindavan informing the devotee there of the what had happened. At the same time, the king was obliged to remove Radharani temporarily from the deity room as well as to suspend the Bengali Gaudiya Vaishnav Pujari from the parting in the deity workshop. As we have just
Thank
stated
you.
at that time that Shri Vasumanta Chakravarti was very aged, so it was not possible for him to make the arduous journey to Jaipur. In his place, he sent his student Shri Baldeva, who was fully conversant with the Shastras and thus able to uh, competently face the challenges. In the great assembly, he posed such forceful argument to the followers of the Ramanujas th- that they could not reply to them. He further explained to them the originator of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has accepted the Srimad Bhagavatam as the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra as composed by the Srila Vyasadeva himself. This is proven that the Sandarbha, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami has commented on the point to say, saying that the reason that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not make a commentary onto the Vedanta Sutra was because they came into line through the uh, Vyasya to Madhava, who had already made their commentary. So why should they make their Sant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Goswamis were quite happy to follow the footstep of the previous Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami New York this. The scholars in the assembly, however, refused to accept anything other than the direct commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Having no other recourse, Baldev promised to present them with one. They gave Baldev 18 days to have this commentary ready for discussion. The mood of the Ramadev was quite aggressive, much like put up or shut up, which made Baladeva transcendental anxious. Feeling very aggrieved in the manner, Sri Baldeva took shelter of the Lord and came to the Sri Govinda's temple in Jaipur. After offering his prostrated obeisances, he
Yes.
informed Sri Govinda of everything that he had happened. That night, wonderful thing happened. The Lord appeared to him in the dream and instructed him to write a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Lord said, "You just write. I will dictate. I will dictate to you. Write what to write, and therefore no one will be able to refuse to accept." Having seen such a wonderful dream, Srila Baldev was totally enlightened and felt renewed strength flow into his heart. Thus, he began to write and within the few days completed the commentary, which was titled Shri Govind Vyasa.
Yes, just a minute. So then you go to the next section. Yes, now you can read from bringing the commentary with him here.
The bringing a commentary with him, Srila Baldev again came to the assembly to the Ramanujanam scholar. After reading to the commentary, they were simply speechless. Thus, the victory to the Gaudiya Sampradaya was announced far and wide, and the king, as well as the other devotee, began to float in the ocean of the bliss. The assembly took place in the year 1628. Sakabada, the Golta near the present city of Jaipur. Srila Baldev Vyasprada installed the deity of Vyas Gopala there at Golta temple, but the whereabouts of this deity were present not known. From this day, the Maharaja of Jaipur announced Shri Govinda's Aarti would be performed first and then other temples could perform their Aartis. It is always we have found that the best to keep our one word sweet as you never know when you will have to swell to them. Thus, after accepting defeat, the Ramanan scholar expressed their desire to accept initiation from Sri Baldev Vyas Bhushana. However, he declined their request by stating that amongst the four authorized sampradaya, the Shri Sampradaya was highly respectable and the foremost adherent to the Daisi Bhakti, devotional service in the mood of service. If there was any cause of loss of respect of the Sampradaya that might consider as an offense, it this way he would not initiate them. Returning from the Jaipur to Vrindavan, Shri Baldev presented the certificate of victory to the Shira Vishantha Chakravarti Thakur and narrated all the event that had transpired. All the devotees were in the great anxiety to receive this news, and Chakravarti bestowed to his blessing on Shri Baldev's. At the at this time, Shri Baldeva Vyasbhushan began to write a commentary on Srila Jiva Goswami Shri Sandarprabha. The deity of the Shri Jiva.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
So that's all. I think full stage story. Thank you so much, Rajiv Prabhu, for reading for us.
Hare
So
Krishna.
as you saw, we are gonna now sum up and close the session. So you see the story. There are a couple of learning here, right? I'm going to the point where I raised. We started reading, right? Yes. We'll take questions, and after I finish, I'll take questions. If somebody wants to leave, you can leave. I stop live streaming, and we can discuss if we want. I'm here, but other people can leave after I stop speaking after this. So you see what happened in a summary. If we see, the question was that whether the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is authoritative. Like ISKCON was still, a lot of people say it's English religion. Angreji tam mandir hai wo, he said, it's not authorized, it's not right. Like so many in Facebook or YouTube, people talk a lot about all that. Now, same thing happened that time. Not social media, but but Sri Sampradaya was not ready to accept this as a bona fide tradition. And they were right, because you cannot, at that time, everyone was creating their own religion. Like nowadays, you also see every month there is a new Baba, new religion is created in India. It's like a manufacturing industry, right? So you can create your own religion, have your own process, and people love it. Just to cater what they want. You allow them to do whatever they want to do, and you become a new religion, right? So people were critical, and they asked, prove it. And then Baladeva Vidyabhushan was sent, and they gave him 18 days. 18 days, you should have Vedanta Sutra perfectly for your tradition. Now, why Vedanta Sutra? Because Vedanta Sutra is like a formula. Like in mathematics and physics, and every field you have formulas, right? Chemistry have formulas, especially mathematics and physics have formulas. You can solve many problems with the same formulas, right? There is a purpose. So Vedanta Sutra is a summary of all spiritual knowledge. Athato Brahma Jigyasha is one sutra, which means that ultimate aim of life, like we were talking, self-realization is to realize Brahman. Brahman is not Brahma. Brahman means Supreme Brahman. This is Lord Sri Krishna. That's what Bhagavatam says. That's what whole Vedanta Sutra talks about. But different four sampradayas have different interpretation on that. Somebody says Brahman is white light, it's a light. Somebody says it's a Brahman, is Brahma. Somebody says no, it is Shiva. Somebody says no, it is Lord Vishnu. Somebody says no, it's a Lakshmi, right? So four sampradayas, different interpretation. They were asked to prove that you are bona fide. What is your interpretation, right? So Baladeva Vidyabhushan had 18 days, and you really can't do it. So he went and prayed the deity that what to do. And then Krishna himself came and told, I will dictate you right, like Prabhupada used to do. He never admitted it, but how can you write 108 books in 2 years? Impossible. Right? 18,000 of verses of Bhagavatam translation, 700 verses of this Bhagavad Gita with translation, Sanskrit word by word meaning and purport. Not possible. Not possible. Nobody can do it. We write a small book and we advertise like we did a great thing, right? So he write it and then he went presented, and you see humbleness of Vaishnavas. That's what I like. They were ready to submit to him and said, okay, now you become my guru, because I got defeated, and you should become my guru and initiate me. If we were Baladeva Vidyabhushan, we'll say, okay, you challenged me, I defeated you, now you should just serve me. He said no. He said no. He said, Sri Sampradaya is very, very, very highly renowned, and I don't want to do offense to you. I don't want you to surrender to me. You continue what you're doing, but I just did my job, right? So this is Baladeva Vidyabhushan, and Srila Prabhupada comes in the same line, and Baladeva Vidyabhushan writing examples and everything Srila Prabhupada used to write this commentary on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So that is why he recognized scholars. He did not recognize lineage, family, all them. And he presented his work as it is here, and he talks about Baladeva Vidyabhushan, dedication here. And we will read a lot of examples, references. Like in science, if you're writing a paper, you have to reference almost every line with multiple citations saying, okay, what I'm saying is already known. So this is the book. Almost every line you will have reference from Vedas, from Puranas, from other scholars, from Chanakyas, from all Vedic tradition, and you will like it. So that's the end of my speaking. If we have questions, we take it, and then we close the session. Thank you so much. All goes to Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask one question.
Yes.
First, Danvat Pranam and Hare Krishna. Can you send me that link from where you were reading the story of Baladeva?
Yes, so it will
Baladeva.
go into, I'm sending into the chat.
Yeah.
and also to the group, WhatsApp group, in case it gets lost. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any question, comment, anything want to share, say, please go ahead.
Yeah, probably one thing notice is that though we have a book, looks like they are similar, but they are actually not. We were getting lost. You have one page PDF, another page, I have another page. So there was a lot of disconnect in that. Maybe we can follow one pattern somewhere, kind of,
Yes.
maybe. Yeah.
So the reason, I'll explain you. Thank you, Rajiv Prabhu, for question. So the reason you find disconnect, because different edition they release, they design different, sometimes cover changes or back end, front end changes, and that's why we were finding differences. But moment you enter into the book, like chapter 1, or go inside, you will not find much difference, because the main context, main text is not changed much. It's just cover, or sometimes some people want to put different, cover here, different comments on the back or in the front, right? But after this, what we end, you will not find. I can promise you, because I have seen many versions here. Everything would be similar, almost 99%. Maybe sometimes few words, because some grammatical corrections happen later, but not much. Okay, is that okay, Prabhu?
I'm fine as far as you are comfortable with 99%. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yes, I can promise you. Yes, because I see all different version and PDF, so we should be good. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was challenging, right? Like how to manage this. So, but I'm sure. Thank you. Anyone